We're going to go through some of the tools that we use for root cause analysis. So we have some simple tools, but we need to use those wisely. And we're comfortable with things like document review, where we're gathering information to see what was documented. Record review, for the same reason. Interviewing is we're gathering data from the people who are working in that process, and process mapping to understand the process. So all of these tools can be used, and you'll have your handout, and you would have been through that handout. And we're going to just pick a few of the common tools that we use in laboratories for root cause analysis to go through today. So the first one is brainstorming. So what is the aim of brainstorming? So brainstorming is a way to generate ideas within a group setting. We always say at least have a minimum of 2 people, the lab manager usually, and or the person who's trying to resolve the problem or come up with solutions, as well as the person working in that process or on that bench. They're the best person to assist with coming up with ideas. What other aim it is, it provides a quick means of tapping the creativity of a limited number of people for a large number of ideas. So you let the people be creative, coming up with various ideas. It's a good way of just letting people put anything down on either on paper, or if you've got a whiteboard, you put down all your different ideas on the whiteboard. And the brainstorming environment should foster an uninhibited, non-judgmental explosion of ideas. It doesn't matter how maybe silly or different they are. Concepts, policies, decisions, and strategies. So the various ideas come out of a mixture of people. So most of us in our laboratories, we know we have various different types of people, and you'll get the people who are not that extrovert and they don't really want to put their hands up. But once they start seeing other people giving ideas, you can draw them out and get ideas from them too. And sometimes those quiet people have been listening and watching, and they sometimes come up with really good ones. So don't dismiss the quiet people in the corners. So rules of brainstorming: do not discuss, criticize, or evaluate ideas during the brainstorming session. Let everything come out. The evaluation of those ideas will come later. Hunches are acceptable and no proof is needed. So someone might say, oh, but it feels like that, or I have a gut feeling that that may be where the problem lies. Let those all come out in the brainstorming. All ideas are accepted during this process, and the filtering ideas will come later. So we'll talk a bit about that in the next slide on how, from your reading, we're going to give you a question. So how would you wrap up a brainstorming session? Think about that for a bit. So firstly, you will close the process when few new ideas are evident. So as the brainstorming is happening in the beginning of the brainstorming, you'll get lots of ideas, and then it sort of starts petering out. People will give the same ideas, but just word it slightly differently. And when that becomes evident, we start closing up the process. We narrow the causes to the most significant, since not all causes are of equal importance. So we look at all the ideas and say, okay, if we're doing cause analysis, if we're brainstorming for cause analysis, let's put those into their packages and see which ones are more important than the others. And we combine and group the remaining ideas. And then out of those, we're going to be able to find which ones are the most appropriate causes, and or if we were doing brainstorming in the solution phase, then we would be finding the best solution. So brainstorming can happen at different parts of the root cause process. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the 5 whys, and that's also one of the easiest root cause tools to use. Just a tip, the 5 why by nature tends to get you to one cause, and sometimes big problems have more than one cause. So you'll see how we can use the 5 why to get to the bottom of a problem. So the main goal of the technique is to determine the root cause of the problem by repeating the question why. The answer of the one why question will then lead us to the next why, which could also be the how or the when. Don't get too caught up on the hows and the whens. Just remember to keep asking that question why. So here's a life example. You come to go to work the next day and you get to your car and the vehicle will not start. So that is a problem, or that is the problem. So you ask yourself, why is the vehicle not starting? The battery is dead. That's our first why. So why is the battery dead? The alternator is not functioning. Why is that alternator not functioning? The alternator belt is broken. That's the third why. Why has the belt broken? The alternator belt was well beyond its useful service life and not replaced. Why was it not replaced? The vehicle was not maintained according to the recommended service schedule. So the fifth why is the root of the problem. It's a cause. Now that can be a very good laboratory example. There's a good reason why we have preventive maintenance plans in order for us not to get to the laboratory to find our instrument has not started. So if our instrument has not started, we can use the 5 why technique in order to get down to the root cause. So rules of engagement when we using the 5 whys. So write down the problem and make sure that all people understand it. So if you're working, as I said before, with the people who are working in that environment or on that bench or in that process, it's always a good idea to have them as part of your 5 why team. Distinguish causes from symptoms. We've discussed that before. Look for the cause step by step. Don't jump to conclusions. Now, this is one of the biggest mistakes we make in laboratories is we want to fix the problem without going through the step-by-step approach. And often that makes us put band-aids on the problem. We fix it for a short period of time and then it reoccurs. So just be conscious of that when you're doing your 5 why. Don't jump to conclusions. Base the statements on facts and knowledge. So evidence-based decision-making. Remember when we said brainstorming, you can just throw out all the ideas. Here we're going why. We want it to be factual.